I see these poor women, these children, and my heart aches for them. Look at that Brittany, Amanda Bynes, and you, my dear.
Hollywood, show business, or the movie business. They don't have any time and space for women like us. But you always a sex symbol.
That's all what anyone ever saw. The big boobs and the blonde hair, and they thought that one is only good for one damn thing, and they used me for it. A quick fuck, whether I wanted it or not.
How did you end up like that, though? What about your parents? Did they really name you Marilyn?
My dad was a father for about 15 seconds. The time it took for him to knock up my mother. And then he was out of the picture. I was born Norma Dean. It was a sweet name, but I knew it wouldn't help me.
Norma? Wow. I can't see you as Norma. And your mother?
My mother. Well, if you met her, you wouldn't be surprised as to how I turned out. She was, of course, violent, volatile, unpredictable. She wasn't always like that. In fact, she worked as a helper on sets of small movies, but I think she was taken advantage of. She was never the same. Imagine living a miserable life, just miserable, with poverty and misery and death, and then you meet a guy who is charming, beautiful, and he says the right things. Would you ever let him go?
No.
Well, my mother found someone like that, and he ran the second he found out about me. My mother hated me. Hated me for what my life cost her, for what my existence said about her. She tried to drown me once, you know.
What?
Oh yes, I may have been 4 maybe, and I guess she was having an episode. She just took me to the bath and dunked my head in until I thought I'd die. Unlucky for her, I didn't.
Well, I thought I had it bad. What do you mean by episodes?
Well, I was maybe 5 years old. I remember my mother shut down. She didn't move, didn't eat. At night, there was no electricity and no heat. I thought I would die in the cold. My mother is sitting on her bed, dirty hair, dirty torn clothes.
What happened then?
The police came and took her away and put me in foster care. That's where the real trouble began.
What do you mean?
For the first 2 pairs of foster parents, it was more of the usual. We would be 6, 7 children in one room, locked up, even in the heat. Oh, the smell. You'd think I wouldn't remember, but these things never leave you. It keeps you up at night. Know how that man would hit us, with belts and tennis rackets. Enough to cause pain, but not enough to fracture, of course. Otherwise, how would they get their paychecks?
I can't even imagine how tough.
I would take those beatings over the next foster parents. Doc was his name. He was probably 3 times my age. I couldn't have been more than 11, 12. The things he used to do.
You mean?
Yes, every night he would come up to my room, and his wife would pretend as if it wouldn't be there.
I'm so sorry. How long?
Till the day I died. I'm not being dramatic. After that, every man I met, he used me for one thing, and one thing only. My body, and that was it.
I don't know what to say. How do you get to Hollywood from a past like that?
Acting seemed like a recluse, a part of life that seemed pure. Ironic, isn't it?
How did you start?
Well, I had a lot of promise. That Norma, she has a lot of promise. That's what all the men said to me. They saw my blonde hair and my big boobs, and that was what they meant. My boobs had a lot of promise.
That sounds terrible, but typical of Hollywood.
The dumb blonde, the blonde bombshell. I was part of the sex revolution. But before movies, I was promised I could be a model. I met these young photographers. They convinced me to change my name to Marilyn Monroe. The power of alliteration, they said. They took pictures and we were in relationship, but they did things. And they took pictures of what they did. I was so young, I didn't understand that this wasn't normal.
I saw those. They seem so violating.
They were. The majority didn't even make it to the internet, but they made their rounds with executives. And then, that's what attracted all those movie producers to me. They used my sexuality to sell their movies. And I used them to become a star.
That's what they say. We'll make you a star. Hollow and used up from the inside with the inner spark dying to slow, painful death.
That's what it felt like. Every man after man abused me and thought that was okay. Every grope, every ass pinch, every look down my shirt, it pitched away at my soul.
Hollywood has always exploited women. Amanda Bynes, she was such a comedic star, and look at what happened to her. I heard she was forced to give an abortion at age 14.
Judy Garland was giving sleeping pills on set, and later she overdosed on them. Natalie Portman had her 18th birthday be a countdown, because that's when you're allowed to actually sexually fantasize about women.
Hollywood is sick. With everything that happened, you became a phenomenal star. A sex symbol, yes, but you had movies like Some Like It Hot, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. How did that feel?
Honestly, I think it's all mixed. At one point, I was ecstatic. I was famous and popular, and people wanted to meet me and be with me. But the Hollywood executives were monsters. I wasn't allowed to be fat. They would make fun of me if my thighs jiggled or if I had a stomach. Also, I dropped out of high school, but I was always really intelligent. But you know, smart women don't make quick bucks. Hollywood wants a dumb, perky blonde, and that's what they sold me as.
What about husbands? Family?
I was married 3 times. James, Martin, and Joe DiMaggio. Insecure men with small minds. They thought they owned me, and they thought I was a slut.
James, he was your neighbour?
Oh yes, I thought I met my soulmate. But then, I was young, just about 16, you know. And then he joined the Merchant Marines while I became a model.
What about those rumours with the president?
You mean Kennedy? We were lovers. He was just too ashamed. I loved him though. I knew what I was to him, but I loved him, so I couldn't help myself.
I understand that. What was that relationship like?
It was fun and glamorous in the beginning. It was a secret, so it was mysterious and fun and exciting. But after a while, he became too strong, too rough. He would make me do things that made me feel dirty. And then,
What?
you know, keeping in mind my childhood, you would think I wouldn't want children.
And?
I got pregnant 4 or 5 times, and each time I'd be drugged and forced to get an abortion. It was traumatic and depressing.
My God, I'm so sorry. I heard you had endometriosis?
That's what I was supposed to say. So that abortions could be justified, I didn't have endometriosis. I just was not allowed to be a mother.
How did that make sense?
In endometriosis, the lining of your uterus grows in other areas, and it makes it almost impossible to get pregnant. In reality, I was always drugged.
Do you think that's what killed you?
Oh, Amy, in the end, there was so much going on. And the drugs, yes, they made me foggy, but I knew I was not safe.
So, what happened?
Well, we can't spill all my secrets now, can we?